Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 417. Woo. As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by viable human Chris Saturn.
As always.
Is it is it the way I say it, you think, that makes it weird?
That's a lot of it, yeah.
Is it because I sound so nice?
Yeah,
it's
that's
such a strange...
uncannily nice.
We did. So, housekeeping.
Yeah.
We didn't decide it beforehand, but Guy's going to be on the end of this episode.
Hooray!
So I'm going to put Guy. Guy is here. I'm putting it in the notes right now so that I don't forget.
And then you're not going to save it.
Then no. There we go. All right. So as we what happened was we can't remember if Guy was on one of the last episodes. So we're just going to have him on this one.
And honestly, even if he was, he missed a lot of episodes this year. So
That's
we
true.
need to make up for him.
We have a contractual obligation. We owe him a certain episode quota where he can show up and tell us how awesome wrestling is, or I don't know. Whatever.
Or how
whatever
wrong we are about our opinions.
or how cool hockey is.
Ooh,
You
I
know,
hear that is cool.
that's what he's that's what he's paying for. So he's
the coolest game on ice.
Anyway, my week.
Yes, sir.
I've just been working away at my new full-time job that I created for myself, running the Wise County Tabletop Association.
Uh-huh.
How's
that going?
It's going good. It's actually going pretty good. We found a venue. We're running 3 events a month. We have one kind of general, more casual board game day at a coffee shop. Mm-hmm. And we have one RPG day that's like D&D and stuff like that. And then we have one day that is like miniatures and strategy games and like big heavyweight board games.
Okay.
And we have venues for everything, and it's just everything's coming up Millhouse. I'm very excited. If you're anywhere near the Wise County, Texas area, we have a website. You can come check us out. I don't remember if when we recorded last, I had done my first meetup. I don't think I had.
I don't think so. I think you were still coordinating it, if I remember right.
We have now had our first meetup. And I was terrified.
Because I remember before you were saying that you didn't know if it was just going to be you and Andrew and Guy.
Yes. Yeah, that was my fear, would be that I coordinated this community night and then did not drum up community interest.
Right.
We ended up with 13 to 17 people, depending on how you want to slice it. Like 4 people were there, and they were just kind of in our space, and they weren't really there for playing games. But before I got out the door, I saw them playing a game that they had taken. I brought like a big pile of community games, Yeah. And so, and they asked about it. They asked about the rules to it. They were like, "How do you play that bananagrams?" And so I'm counting them. So that's 17 people.
They are legally people.
My kid was there. She stayed the whole time.
Nice.
And she was like, that was so much fun. That was more fun than my birthday and Christmas. She had a freaking blast.
Nice.
It was just really fun. We hung out and drank coffee and played cool games, and I got to meet people, and it was just it was very exhausting having to run the whole thing. I felt bad because every game that I got roped into, I ended up quitting like before it was over to go like, wrangle a kid or say hi to people or introduce somebody, or it's a lot of work, man, running even small of it. Because we're in a relatively small table. I mean, we took up like 5 tables at this place.
Right.
But even then, it's like when people came in, because people come in and do that thing, right? Where they walk in and they just kind of slowly walk up and sort of look around a little bit. And you want to have someone there that's like, hi, welcome to the thing. Come on over and play some things.
Right.
And being that person for 4 hours was, whoa, man, that was exhausting.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's pretty exhausting, but it was really fun. I had a really good time.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I'm running my first community RPG day at the library. So I'm going to be running a 4-hour drop-in, drop-out module that it's a mega dungeon. So there's no like town or traveling through the woods or whatever. The whole thing is like you're in this dungeon. And so that's my plan for tomorrow. Uh-huh. And the joke amongst my weekly D&D group is that I'm just going to show up and murder community kids in this dungeon and then laugh at them. Because apparently I have a reputation in my weekly D&D group as the guy that kills everyone. So
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Why do you hate sleep?
I was like, well, people will join and they'll get talking and, people can help me coordinate stuff. And it's like, nope. No, it's just me. But I do get to, I'm finally off the hook for talking to various places and event centers and local clubhouses and things for venue space.
Right.
Because we have our 3 events and there we have venues for them. And so that's a huge amount of work kind of gone, right? We just had it. So now I just got to like go into all the groups once a week and be like, don't forget we're here.
It reminds me of the time that I spent on the Rocky Horror Cast, just because there was so much trying to organize where we're going to be and how where we're going to find room that all of us can meet up and where we can actually perform or where we can actually do anything, and it's exhausting just seeing how much of your limited free time ends up being eaten away by it.
Yeah.
And it's the thing you're supposed to be doing to relax, and suddenly it is far more work than your actual job.
Yeah. So having the library has been amazing. They're fantastic. They're like I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, can we kind of glom on to your, because they were doing a gaming Saturday once a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you guys like, we'll show up and just run the whole thing for you if you want. I'll bring in people to run games. I'll advertise the event. And they were like, yes, please.
Nice.
And so they let us just kind of take the wheel on that one. And then they also reached out and they were like, hey, we see you're trying to look for a place to do like miniatures games and strategy games. Do you want to use our space? These are the days we have it. And they just gave us more space. So, it's
very kind of them.
I know. I was like, thank you guys so much, because I was about to start paying for event space somewhere, and it is not cheap.
No, it is not.
And so they were like, yeah, this wouldn't be a library event. It would just be you. But if you want to use our space, totally. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God. So yeah, that's been a huge amount of my free time.
I bet.
Also shit like making stickers and flyers and stuff. Like, man, I feel like I need an assistant.
We were very lucky with flyers and stuff, because one of the people on our cast happened to work at a professional printing company.
Yeah.
That took professional print work and everything.
Oh, man.
So not only did she have access to a printing press and her employers were fine with her using it for us, but she also had the software and the know-how to design all of the flyers and programs and things like that, so that everything looked professional enough for us to do things.
I wish I had someone in my life like that, because I'm already regretting. I know that you want to like stick to like a basic color scheme. Like, okay, this is the colors for our events. And whenever I do stuff, I want it to kind of be these colors or these kind of block fonts, or, just kind of some visual continuity.
Right.
So that when people are scrolling their Facebook feed and they see us, they're like, oh, that's the WCTA. And I'm already regretting that I made our colors mustard yellow and black. Because it's a very limited design space in the mustard yellow arena.
That's true. Well done.
I was just like, what's eye catching? And I'm like, mustard yellow. And then now I'm kind of stuck with it a little bit. So
well, I still know that person. She just moved to Las Vegas though, so she's not in the area. Yeah. But maybe I can ask her to give you some free advice.
Please. Anyway, that's been eating up huge amounts of my free time. Hopefully it'll be eating up less of my free time moving forward, because we have venues, and now I just need to pop in and respond to comments and advertise occasionally, and that will hopefully.
This reminds me of when you were like, soon my kid will be going to school, and then I'll have so much more free time.
Yeah, it's strange how that works. I think I'm not a scientist. I think days are getting shorter is what's happening. I think this is what's actually happening. I think somewhere they've sliced away a couple hours and we didn't notice.
Nope.
I gotta tell you, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden I'm 34. I was 20 like yesterday.
Let me tell you, the years get shorter.
Oof.
Shorter and shorter every single year. It's gonna keep happening.
Yeah.
And it's gonna accelerate too.
Anyway, speaking of the slow and accelerating march of death that we're all careening toward, how is Final Fantasy 16?
I thought you were gonna say, "How's your back?" But all right. No, I did get my copy of Final Fantasy 16 the morning after we recorded last. So I had plenty of time to play it and finish it. So I have now finished the game. And
How many hours was it?
so that's hard to say because I already have a bad habit of just like pausing
ballooning
the
that
console and walking away and playing with the cat or making dinner or whatever and just letting
If you were to
run.
guess,
I would guess that if you were just doing main story quests and just kind of playing it casually, probably 30 to 40 hours. In that
now
area.
here's what I've learned about when Saturn quotes a game time is in my head I always add 10 hours because what you don't account
fair.
for is excessive dumbness. And so
Now-
this is a problem when I play games.
Now actually that is not a problem in this game because literally everything you have to do is glowing and there's maps that point at it.
Oh, they made it for me.
Yes.
They just didn't make it on a platform I was going to buy.
So it's not an RPG. It is not even a little RPG. It is an action game. And everything has like the bright. This is exactly the person you have to talk to continue the story thing going on. Every cutscene can be skipped, and even if you skip everything, you'll still get to the end. I don't recommend skipping everything because the story's pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. The voice acting is excellent. Like all the voice cast they got was great. Apparently they recorded and wrote the English script first and then translated it back into Japanese from that.
I heard they did that so the mouths would match up.
Right, yeah, so the lip syncing would
But
match
doesn't
up.
that mean it wouldn't match up in Japan?
In Japan, lip syncing isn't as important because so many of their syllables are nearly identical.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, well, apparently the mouth movement in Japan is so similar between syllables that
It's just less noticeable.
yeah, they don't notice as much as we
Okay.
would.
I did not know that.
So they went the opposite direction because normally when it is a Japanese game that is dubbed in English, it is very noticeable.
Oh,
When it's
yeah,
an
it's-
English
yeah,
game
it is,
that is dubbed
yes.
in Japanese, it is less noticeable.
Yeah.
So they decided to go that route. But the one thing I'll say about the voice acting though, the voice cast is great, by the way, and they say fuck a lot.
Because this is a mature game, right?
Yes,
As
it's
we
a
were
mature
told
game for mature gamers.
by who said that? Was it
Yoshi
Yoshi
P.
P?
Yeah.
Because this is a mature game for mature gamers, which means you say the naughty words.
They say fuck all the time. All the time. I got a great screenshot of one of the enemy characters in the middle of a cutscene where somebody said something that pissed him off, and he just loudly goes, fuck! And the subtitle was just fuck with like 11 U's in there. So good. Anyway, but the other thing I'll say about the voice acting is everything is voiced. Everything
Okay.
is voiced until
Oh, no.
you get a good chunk of the way into the game, you unlock your home base. And when you get to your home base, you can talk to certain people there, and it will give you the option to ask them about something else so that they can give you completely useless information. It's just like, this is my opinion about that frog,
Right.
whatever it is that you ask them about. And it doesn't help the story. It doesn't even really give them much characterization. It's just another thing you can check off that you did. And that's the one thing that isn't voiced. But they do that weird thing that some Japanese games do where the first couple of words are voiced.
Oh, no. I hate that.
I hate
They'll
it
just
so
be like,
much.
oh, hey. And then they keep talking, but there's no more words.
Right. Yeah, there's all this text on the screen, but nobody's saying anything. And it's fine when like it starts with a short sentence where
Right.
it's like, hey there. That's fine. I can get that just that's voiced. But when it's, did you know that that's not a place you want to cut off? That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Anyway, other than that, though, the voice acting is excellent. However, I will say, so you're only consistent party member throughout the entire game, and you don't control your party. It's just person that is with you attacking that is invincible and cannot be hurt. Your only consistent party member is your dog.
Okay.
And your dog is
Okay.
awesome. It's a very big dog. It's like wolf-sized dog. It's a very helpful dog. It can heal you for somehow. Anyway, and your character has the option to give commands to the dog. There's a second menu that you can open instead of your items, and you can say sick or heal or stay, and the dog will respond. And there is a point in the game, fairly early in the game. I don't want to spoil the story or anything, but something happens that really demoralizes the hero to the point to where he is questioning his whole identity, his life, everything that has happened up to this point. And he's sitting there monologuing to himself about what has he done? Why has he killed so many people? And by the way, everyone murders everyone in this game. Murder everywhere. Like most JRPGs, like you'll hit somebody with a lightning bolt and then stab them in the face, and then after the battle they're unconscious.
Yeah, there's a whole cutscene of them like escaping or some shit. Yeah.
No, not in this. Everybody is massacred. Every fucking person is murdered, and constantly people are referring to how many people they've murdered. It's just a murder fest. But this one scene, he is questioning all of the murdering he has done. And he's like, how could I have done this? How am I supposed to keep going? It's all just more senseless killing. But as he's saying this, you can enter into you can enter into battles that are in front of you as you walk along the linear paths. And when you're in battle, whenever you issue a command to your dog, he voices it. So I'm in the middle of the sequence and he's saying, more senseless killing. Kill him, boy! And it's great. It's just so tonally off base, and I loved it. But no, overall, I enjoyed the game. It was good. I'll probably talk a little bit more about it on the next episode to cover some of the more stuff so that we don't have to just spend the whole fucking episode
I'm a little confused. I know that, we've been talking about it for a while, but I'm a little confused between your assessment, the reviews I'm seeing, the general discourse around the game.
Yeah.
If you had told me sight unseen, hey, new Final Fantasy game is out. It is no longer an RPG really at all any more than God of War is an RPG.
True. Yeah. That's good.
And it is more adult, but in kind of weird, childish ways.
I don't even know if I would say in weird, childish ways. It's more.
You were telling me that they called someone a cock in one of the cutscenes.
They do. It's pretty funny.
This is.
It's mature in the way of television writers who have spent their whole lives working for the CW and finally got a chance to write something for HBO.
I feel like you think you're saying that you're trying to say it's good, but when you say that to me, my immediate reaction is to want to vomit.
No, it feels like Game of Thrones, the video game, with Final Fantasy references. That's the most accurate description of the story I can give you.
Like, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. And this is not me trying to be like, I think it's bad. I've not played the game. I have no fucking idea. I can't play the game. I don't have a PlayStation 5.
Right.
But it sounds bad.
It was pretty fun, though.
Like, on paper, I'm like, if you just explaining it to me, like if I was like, hey, don't give me a review, just give me the most brass tacks explanation of the game, I would assume it would be a piece of shit.
Yeah, on paper it sounds like it should be.
Yeah. But then people seem to love it.
Well, let me talk about the gameplay for a second then, because the gameplay is really fun. Like the actual action combat is really fun. And I was really worried about the accessibility options.
Yeah.
Because the way that it does it is there's different difficulties. There's easy, which is the story mode. There's normal. And then you can unlock a hard mode for finishing the game. And in all of these modes, it gives you these rings that you can equip. And one of them basically just automatically does all of your moves. You can just hammer on the square button and he will just dance between every single ability you have seamlessly. And one of them slows down time anytime you're about to get hit so that you can dodge. Only if there is an opportunity for you to dodge. If you're in the middle of something where you couldn't have dodged anyway, you just get hit. One of them automatically dodges, and one of them only automatically does the dog commands instead of all of your abilities.
The dog commands.
Yeah.
I just usually I was expecting this to come out, and then when I heard it was not an RPG, I was expecting Backlash. This is
Right.
the most famous and legendary RPG franchise of all time, period, bar none. At least in America. I guess Dragon Quest arguably is at some points in history bigger than Final Fantasy
Right.
in Japan. But in America, Final Fantasy is the most famous, legendary,
Historically,
turn-based RPG. And I know that they've broken away from it. Like Final Fantasy 12 is pretty weird. They've gotten away from it. But
I would
just
say they've consistently gotten away from it. I
But
would say
just-
that it's been the only reason I'm not more upset about it is because the writing's been on the wall for so long.
yeah, it's felt inevitable, I guess.
7 Remake was barely an RPG. And Final Fantasy 15 had very little RPG elements in it. It's clear this is the path they've wanted to go. And in every interview before this came out, they made it clear that they feel like RPGs were something holding them back from what they wanted to make, which was not an RPG.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly just not surprised by it.
Again, I've not played the game. I'm not making a value judgment on the game.
Right.
I trust that it's probably pretty good because it's getting very good press.
Oh yeah.
It's just every time I hear about it, I'm like, this sounds like people would hate it and shit all over it. Like that, what was that one?
Stranger Paradise?
Like that game, like the other one where you played Zack that on PSP that got a
Crisis
remake,
Core.
Crisis
Yeah.
Core. Like Type Zero, they've done these kind of games before. You know,
Crisis Core got really good reviews in its re-release recently.
really.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems that public opinion on that one has completely turned around over the years.
And I
Maybe
heard that-
because the whole series has started to shift that way.
I wonder because Crisis Core came out and I was looking at the remake and the assessment was pretty much like they didn't really fix most of the problems that existed in it's a little nicer, but I had heard that they didn't fix most of the problems that were problems.
No, it's basically the same game with a huge graphical overhaul.
Yeah, and it's interesting that a game that was so shit on,
Yeah.
they basically were just like, yeah, now it looks a little nicer, and people are like, oh, this game is great, and you're like,
Right.
is it, or was it the whole time, or is it now, or what? Like, what is happening?
I think a lot of it is just that the expectations of Final Fantasy has changed so much. People don't
Maybe.
expect it to be an RPG anymore.
Maybe I guess, and I mean, thankfully, we still have Dragon Quest for as long
Right.
as we have it anyway.
And I was, as I was playing this, I found myself thinking at one point, this is less of an RPG than the older Yakuza games. And now we have Yakuza as a proper turn-based RPG.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
We need to get into the news.
Yeah.
We can talk about Final Fantasy 16 all day, apparently, and I've not even played the game. Sega and RGG Studio have removed the creators of Yakuza from the credits for their games in the new GOG releases. Why? Why would you do this?
It just seems to be a thing that all Japanese publishers want to do now, where they just stop crediting people as soon as they stop working for them. And that
Jesus
seems so
Christ.
shitty.
It is. It seems shitty because it is tremendously shitty.
Oh, yeah.
Google is trying the gaming market again, adding casual instant play games to YouTube. This is what you want when you go to YouTube, right? To play weird, shitty web browser ports of inevitably mobile games.
Yeah, so it's using Stadia tech. So it's still just streaming the game to you, which makes sense. It's through YouTube. You're expecting
Right.
everything to be streaming. And from what I have heard, they're starting it with things that are essentially mobile games. Just I don't know why they think this is going to be the better market.
Netflix thought it was too. You log into Netflix now and they still have, I thought that would last 3 months, but they still have this fucking games section. I'm like, who is playing these games?
And apparently they're getting several exclusives on Netflix too, which is bizarre to me.
I don't understand it. I don't understand what is happening anymore,
Right?
Saturn.
It's bizarre.
Court documents in ongoing Microsoft Activision Blizzard King drama show that Microsoft previously considered buying Bungie or Sega prior to the Activision Blizzard announcement. Also, that Sony may be considering a $400 price tag for the portable PSQ streamer, and that Sony may be releasing a PS5 Slim as soon as this year. Sony has redacted evidence, or Sony's redacted evidence was redacted in such a way that everything could be seen clearly once scanned into the computer.
Did you see this?
No.
Oh my god! So some of the documents that Sony had submitted for this case, all the documents the judge agreed to post online, and so they were all scanned in and posted to the internet, and you could just clearly see it looked like it was highlighted more than it was marked out because of the way that the ink was scanned. And so it wasn't like anything that anybody was surprised by. It was mostly sales numbers and budgets for things like Horizon Forbidden West and God of War and stuff like that. So it wasn't like any insider trade secrets or anything. It was just some internal data.
Yeah.
But it's still just so dumb.
My first reaction to hearing that the PSQ streamer would be $400 is that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And my immediate next reaction is it'll sell 1 million billion units because it's Sony, and apparently Sony can just charge whatever they want and people eat it up and defend it. It's the weirdest thing to me.
You say that, but what about the Vita?
Look, the Vita's problem was not its price tag.
It was one of its problems. It was among its many problems.
I bought 2 of them at
I
launch.
know. Because apparently anyone will buy anything from Sony.
It's I don't know. It's something about this like post PS5 Sony is they are unable to make a misstep.
They can make plenty of missteps in the mobile phone market.
This is true. Yeah. And they will continue to do that because it's Sony. Sony just makes missteps. That's kind of their thing.
Right.
Link weighs 10 apples, according to internet sleuths and physics dorks that have done enough research in Tears of the Kingdom to determine that Link weighs as much as 10 apples, specifically apples from Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
But yeah, he weighs 10 apples. Don't you know?
My question is, does that mean Link is very light or apples are very heavy in that game?
My immediate thought was that apples must be enormously heavy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Link's a pretty thin person.
True.
And maybe it's kind of both. You know, maybe he's very thin and apples are quite hefty and full of rocks.
However,
I don't know.
he is able to easily pick them up and eat them. So
Well, he's also quite strong.
Very strong and also very thin.
Genesis games, Ghouls and Ghosts, Revenge of Shinobi, Landstalker, and Crusader of Sinti added to NSO++, which is
Good.
the name they're still going with, I guess.
No, they call it Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass. I call it NSO++.
That's worse. Those are good games. Well, Crusader of Sinti is okay. The rest are good games.
I'd say they're all solid games. I don't know that I'm going to pay for NSO++ for it.
Yeah. Skullgirls, apparently what happened was the game has changed hands, and the original people that worked on the game do not currently have access to the game.
That's not entirely true, though.
Is that not? Okay.
Because, it did change hands. However, a majority of the development staff are working at this new company that acquired it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, was that not done to kind of oust some of the less savory staff?
Particularly the leadership of the original studio.
Okay. And now Skullgirls, a game that is many years old now, has released some art changes.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to describe them is one of the comments I saw on this change. No, it was in a Steam review. I went to read the Steam reviews just to see what people are saying. And the best description of what they did is someone said they made the game exactly 1% less horny and everyone lost their minds. And that is the case because I've seen the art changes.
Yeah,
what they did
minor
is they removed 2 things. They removed the kind of Nazi-looking armbands that some of the bad guys wore. And they also removed some of the creepier sexual things. Like it's stuff like there will be
they got rid of some of the upskirts.
Yeah, there will be a character like wrapped in tentacles, and all they did was pull her skirt down a little bit. Like it's still a very horny game.
Now the areas where I've seen people upset that make close to sense to me, where I understand where the frustration is apparently the pre-order art book that was either from Indiegogo or Kickstarter, wherever the game was funded from, that people had pledged for. They have also edited that, so that people who had previously bought this thing now have the new edited version and no longer have access to the original, and they're a little upset about that. I can understand that. I still think that it is fine to have slightly less horny art.
If a lot of the art, I had to look at it like I would look at it and go, yeah, this is pretty horny.
Yeah.
What one horny thing did they remove from this horny picture?
Right.
And it was like a fucking search and find for weird horny anime pictures.
Right. And then
the game's real horny. It still is.
The other thing that they removed that people are a little upset about is there was a DLC item that was available exclusively as a reward for donating to a cancer charity. And that has been completely removed from the game.
Oh, I see.
And I don't know what it looked like. Maybe it was super, super horny. I don't know. But that is the one thing I can understand.
I read every new negative Steam comment I could find, and none of them mentioned any of the shit that you said.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say most of the people complaining just want more upskirts of anime people. And I will say this, because in their press, they're like, hey, you know, we think that we defend the notion that female characters can present their sexuality.
Yeah.
And their argument was that some of this stuff goes from confident presentation of their sexuality to creepy for the sake of creepy was basically the gist of what they said. And looking at the art and really analyzing all of it, I agree. And I some of the art, they would change a thing and I'd be like, I feel like they should change it more. Like it wasn't enough, you know.
Keep going, guys.
Like weird stuff. Speaking
of a slight tangent here, speaking of random review bombing, I was looking at the reviews of Harvest Moon's, Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town on Xbox, because it was just added to Game Pass.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was bombarded with a bunch of 1-star reviews because of baby games on Game Pass. Because people want more first-person shooters on Game Pass and not Harvest Moon. And so I was reading through
games.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many reviews that are 1-star. I'm tired of all these baby games. And I got to 2 reviews that were right next to each other that were posted since it was released on Game Pass. And one of them was a 1-star review, and the only text was the word farts. And right next to it was a 5-star review, and the only text was the word download. And I was like, this is it. This is why we have reviews on the internet.
This is why the internet exists.
Yeah.
Channeling that Miiverse vibe. Nothing will be as beautiful a disaster as Miiverse.
When the Rabbids forum was taken over with William Dafoe, that was when we peaked as a society.
And finally, CD Projekt Red insists that Cyberpunk was good and that people just disliked it because it was popular. And I can't tell you how angry that makes me that they would say that, because they're wrong. The game was bad. And additionally, I maintain that judging by their actions since then, I had postulated at the time that the reason the first 5 hours of Cyberpunk 2077 were not only so good, but so starkly different from the rest of the game was to trick people into playing enough hours that they cannot return it. The way they've behaved since then has confirmed my suspicion that I now, without a shadow of a doubt, believe that that's why the first 5 hours, the first 5 hours of Cyberpunk are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then then all of a sudden they're like, hey, the prologue's over. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? I've been playing the game for hours. And then all of a sudden you're like, why is everything shitty? What fucking happened?
Justin.
What?
Maybe you just believe that because it's popular to believe that.
It's maybe. But I think someone in our Discord was like, wasn't the game not even playable on some of the platforms it was released on at release?
Basically,
and I was like, yeah. It also was literally not playable if you were not on a solid state hard drive, which I get it. It came out like, 2020, 2019, whatever?
2020 or 2021.
And, a lot of people had solid state drives by then, but it was not listed as a requirement.
Yeah.
Nothing mentioned it.
You know what didn't have a solid state drive? The Xbox One and the PS4 that it was released for and later ripped off of the store because of how buggy it was.
So this is a prime example of high level corporate revisionism. They thought it had been long enough that they could whip around and go, actually, it was pretty good. And then nobody would argue against them because it's been years and nobody fucking cares anymore and we forgot all about the drama. And I will not let CD Projekt Red fucking get away with it. They released a broken fucking trick of a game.
Yeah.
It's a trick. They're like, look, we're going to make 5 hours awesome and then 45 hours kind of a buggy mess. And I'll say this, there's a lot of fun to be had in the game.
Yeah.
But the game was still very problematic at launch.
And I hear a lot of it's been fixed since then.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know that, but I hear that.
I don't know that either. I've gone back to play it a couple times, and they like within 6 months the game was pretty damn playable. But that is
6 months after release, it is playable.
It was pretty damn playable after 6 months. But again, what makes me mad is they front loaded the quality. The first 5 hours are like, if you can get the game on sale for an amount of money that you're okay being like, hey, this is going to give me 5 hours of awesome gameplay, absolutely get it because it's awesome. First 5 hours are fucking great. And then all of a sudden, like, I remember the moment where they're like, actually, that was just the prologue. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then all of a sudden I kept playing and I was like, what? Was something going on? Like, what is this fucking joke? Am I being pranked right now? Like, if you had told me they dumped me into a different game, I would have believed you. Because all of a sudden, like, every time I talked to someone, they'd have like a fucking spoon sticking out of their head, or people would be rubber banding across the screen. I was like, what is going on here?
If like 2 hours after that, everything went back to normal, that might be okay.
They're just like, all right, this is the shitty 2 hours. We put it right in the middle. Cyberpunk 2077 was a prime example of corporate overpromising.
Yeah.
It was a prime example of a game that should have delivered 30% less content to deliver a much better final product. It was overambitious. It was problematic
so much crunch
at launch.
time at the end too.
Yeah, and I'll say this again: there's a lot of really cool, fun stuff to be had in the game. But man, you had to climb. It was like Andy Dufresne climbing through the fucking tunnel of shit to get to it at launch, man. Anyway, that brings us to our topic at hand.
It's a Shawshank Redemption reference there.
Which thank you, Saturn.
Thought I'd clarify for people listening.
For people that didn't know who Andy Dufresne was. Yeah, I guess I forgot how old that movie is. There's a high probability a lot of people have not seen Shawshank.
That is the best of the Stephen King movies.
Which brings us to our topic at hand, which is Monster Party.
Yes.
Which is, what if Nintendo was scary? What if it was spooky, scary Saturn?
You know, what if it was, Justin?
Monster Party was developed by Human Entertainment? Question mark.
We'll get to that.
It was published by Bandai exclusively in North America in June of 1989. A Japanese version was previewed in magazines in late 1988, but never released. This was a game that I had as a kid growing up, and I have an interesting story with it. Again, we didn't get Nintendo Power until regularly until the GameCube era.
Oh, damn.
So we had some Nintendo Powers. Like, we had a little
after Nintendo sold Nintendo Power?
I think so. We had some lying. We had 10 of them lying around. They were purchased occasionally. But I wasn't very steeped in Nintendo lore because I'm young enough to miss the first pass of Nintendo Mania that so many kids enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then by the time we were hitting a little bit later in the 90s, things kind of cooled off and the market kind of became its own separate market. Right? It went from Mania to now this is just its own market.
Right.
And so I was not up on a lot of Nintendo mythos. And I thought for years that Ness from Smash Brothers was the character from Monster Party. Because it's a kid with a baseball bat and a hat, and it's looks the same. They
say his name in the game.
Shut up, Saturn. It was just one of those things I just assumed and never went back to check it. You know what I mean? And I never Googled it. And great, you got to keep in mind, in this era, I'm less than 11 years old. Okay, give me a break.
You remember that part in Monster Party where the kid cast PK Fire?
I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I played a ton of Monster Party as a kid,
Yeah.
but only the first level for multiple reasons that we'll get into later. But it was a game that I really loved the first half of the first level, and then it got scary and I would turn it off. So I would sit down and I'm sure we all have these memories from when we were young, because I was very little at the time.
Yeah.
Of playing games wrong, not leaving the screen you're supposed to be on and just having fun jumping around or whatever, and spending ludicrous amounts of hours basically playing the game incorrectly. I would do the same thing in Zelda, where I wouldn't do dungeons. I would just walk around the overworld and kill monsters because the dungeons were hard and kind of scary and I wasn't very good at them. But the overworld was kind of easier as long as I stayed away from the harder parts.
Yeah. Keep away from the Lionels and...
Yeah, and so, you walk into a screen, there's a Lionel there, and I fucking leave. I'd be like, nope, and I'd go back to killing Octoroks or whatever. And so that's how I played Monster Party for a long time. And in my head, when we decided to do this episode, I remembered Monster Party being a great experience. It was this awesome game that was really different from all the other Nintendo platformers and very spooky, like thematically very different.
Yeah.
And so that's how I remembered the game.
Well, and you still remember it that way, right?
Oh, man. God, I wish. Some things you shouldn't go back to is what I've learned.
Yeah, all of my things I shouldn't have gone back to are on the Commodore 64.
So what was your first experience with
I saw it on the
Party?
shelf at the rental store and promptly decided not to play it because its cover looks kind of dumb. And also it has a big Bandai logo on the front, and I learned my lesson. I knew that most of what Bandai put out was shit.
Uh-huh.
Because you have to remember, they also put out like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
They did, yeah.
And they did put out Galaga. I'll give them credit for that. But Galaga is a pretty simple game for the NES.
Right, and a port also.
Yeah, port of an arcade
they
game.
had a solid foundation to build off.
Right,
of.
yeah. So I was unsold on the whole idea of it. I didn't bother. I assumed it was some cheap, cheesy cash grab game. And so I didn't try it until emulation, and I didn't even try it there until I had heard about the first level. And so I wanted to see what all the uproar was about. And by that point, I was in my late 20s and was already a big fan of horror games.
Oh,
so
you were sorely disappointed.
I wouldn't say sorely disappointed, but disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about the development of Monster Party.
So I am fairly certain that it was developed by humans and not birthed from an open maw of madness.
Uh-huh. Good. We've established so much already.
And that's all. No. The wikis and other sites do list the developers Human Entertainment, which we mentioned.
Yes.
Who didn't exist at the time this game was made. They were founded the following year, 1990. There was a predecessor company that was basically the same company before they became Human, which was called Sonata. They were formed in 1987, and it is also not credited with making this game. However, several staff members who were presumed to have been at Sonata at that time and later were at Human Entertainment were credited with the game. Some of the same people who went on to make Kabuki Quantum Fighter and Gilligan's Island, which were also made by Human Entertainment.
You know what? I'm starting to notice that I've played all of these games they've made.
Oh, why?
I liked Kabuki Quantum Fighter, and Gilligan's Island was given to me as a gift.
Yeah.
I streamed that for the show. All right.
Now, I will say, I don't want it to sound like I'm shitting on Human Entertainment because they went on to make Clock Tower, and I love Clock Tower. However, no one from this game is credited in the credits for Clock Tower. So I just saying. The staff were credited in this all used pseudonyms, presumably because they didn't want anyone to know that they'd worked on this game. And which it was a common thing in the NES era. You saw several games, even Super Mario Brothers 1 and The Legend of Zelda used pseudonyms in their final credits. But the names they did use were really dumb, like Cream Haruna and Desire Taro and Hashimoto Travolta, which is just so dumb.
Well, speaking of dumb, let's talk presentation. And
Okay.
we have to start with the box art to this game.
It's dumb.
The box art to Monster Party has a bunch of universal monsters.
Uh-huh.
It's got
which aren't in the game.
No, it's got a Dracula, a creature from the Black Lagoon. It's got
Yeah.
what looks like it might be like a Bigfoot or a Wolfman. There's a Medusa. There's a
I think
thing
it's
that
supposed to be Wolfman.
there's a thing that kind of looks like Little Shop of Horrors, the
Yeah,
plant,
yeah.
which kind of is in the game. There's a weird noodly, not xenomorph ghost thing. None of these creatures are properly in the game. One of them kind of, arguably, I guess.
Two of them kind of arguably. We'll get to that, though.
But I fucking love this cover art. I still unironically love this cover art. It's very vibrant. It's very neon colored. It is like, I want this to be like some kind of toy line. It's all green and purple. I love it. I love this terrible, terrible cover. And the whole background is spider webs.
Yeah.
And on the back of the box, for no reason, at the bottom it says Ghost List. Giant spider, pumpkin ghost, man-eating plant, chameleon man, giant dragon, hand creature, snake man, and question mark ... First of all, they're not ghosts in the game. They're never presented. Some of them are, like the pumpkin ghost is a ghost, but the rest of them aren't ghosts. Why does it say Ghost List? There are also no ghosts on the cover. And there's another enemy that is kind of a ghost, but they're not on the ghost list.
Like the mummy enemy is kind of a ghost.
I guess no, a mummy's more like a zombie than a ghost.
The mummy in the game is all translucent-y, like a ghost.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's just very weird. And then the game itself, so it's kind of famous in NES canon because halfway through the first level, you walk past this tree and the screen flashes, and all of a sudden, this kind of bright neon-colored game, everything is drenched in blood.
Right.
Out of nowhere. Until then, it's kind of weird, creepy. There's like legs growing up out of the ground, and you find a dead spider that's kind of creepy, and it's just it's weird. It's like weird creepy. It's very safe, kid-friendly creepy.
And the thing that you walk by is it's the weird cactusy thing. It's supposed to be the same kind of thing as those gyroids in Animal Crossing. I don't remember what the name of those things are.
I didn't know those were actual things.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
It's supposed to be that kind of trope.
Yeah.
Which is a Japanese thing and not at all a Western monster thing. So that's even more confusing here.
Oh, the game's very Japanese.
Yeah, sometimes.
And so then all of a sudden, the background is covered in blood oozing zombies. All of the blocks you're walking on are skulls oozing blood on top of a bed of slime.
Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me as a kid. I remember I would walk up to that tree and then turn the fucking game off and just be like, nope, can't do it. Can't handle that. But then the rest of the game, this is kind of its claim to fame, is like it's the gross, scary game. Like you didn't see this kind of shit in Nintendo games.
No, you didn't. But it's only gross for the second half of the first level.
Yeah, and then the rest of the game is like you're like, oh, you're in a sewer, oh, you're in a creepy forest, but it's not like gore drenched like the last half of the first level. And I don't know how this made it past Nintendo censors.
Seriously, that's the part that gets me. Really, Splatterhouse on Turbo is way gorier than this, but it doesn't have that shock moment like this does.
Yeah, where you're like, oh no.
Yeah, and it's become something that a lot of indie horror games have taken inspiration from and even tried to emulate that one moment.
So beyond that, it's an okay looking NES game.
Some of the bosses look pretty neat, and
the boss sprites are pretty cool. It's not incredible looking, but it's decent enough.
My favorite boss is the one that's already dead when you get there.
Yeah, the spider. Yeah.
The one that you just walk in and he says, "Sorry, I'm dead."
Yeah, it's the spider. It's listed in the manual, and it's like you have to
Is
beat
it?
the spider or whatever, and then you go there, and the spider's dead.
There is a spider that you fight, but that one is it doesn't look like a spider.
I'm pretty certain that whatever that one is listed in the manual, and you're supposed to kill it, but you don't because
it's
but
already
it's
dead.
no. I'm looking at the picture of it now. It does. It has that weird head and the green eye. I don't remember, but yeah, it says "Sorry, I'm dead." So beyond that, the game is very goofy.
Oh yeah,
Like all the horror is very goofily presented. You're supposed to play through the game and fight. It's either 21 or 22 bosses. I don't remember. And they all have like a silly quip or something they say to you. The very first boss you fight is this plant that shoots bubbles, and it just says "Hello, baby,"
yeah,
and that's it. And then you're fighting it.
yeah.
One of them says like a lot of them say "baby." One of them says "Look out, baby." They all have these weird quotes.
Like they named your character, and all the bosses still call you baby for some reason.
And then like the big Minotaur boss says "Move it." Get it? You get his Saturn? 'Cause he's like a cow. Anyway, I guess we could talk gameplay. And the game sounds pretty good. It's a decent soundtrack. It's a little repetitive, but it's okay. As far as gameplay, it consists of plot. We didn't explain the plot. So Mark is hanging out, walking home from school one day, and Bert, a gargoyle alien dragon man, comes down from the sky, and he's like, "Yo, dog, I need you to come help me get rid of all the monsters with your weapon." And then Mark is like, "Well, that's not a weapon, it's a bat." And he's like, "Cool, I'm carrying you to a different planet now."
He's like, "Whatever, good enough."
And so in the air while they're flying, Mark is like, "How am I supposed to help you?" And Bert's like, "We're going to fuse together." And then fuses with Mark.
Yeah.
So they are now one being. And of course, 90% of the game, you are just Mark.
And what gets me is the gargoyle, Bert, decided to come and get Mark for help, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole premise. That's the entire point. Every point in the game where you play as Bert is better. He is a better character. He's better
at everything.
equipped. He is better at surviving. Mark is useless. Why did he need Mark's help?
Mark sucks.
Yeah.
So let's talk gameplay. In the game, you can...
There's a Haniwa. That's the name of the cactus thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I
I've
did
heard of
put it in the
those.
notes. I forgot that I put it there.
In the game, there are a few different power-ups you can pick up. You can pick up a question mark, which gives you a random effect. It could just be points. It could give you a heart, which is another pickup, which restores your life. Or it could give you a pill, which is another pickup. You eat pills to turn into an intergalactic dragon man that shoots laser beams.
So this is an officially licensed Nintendo Seal of Quality game that has a bunch of blood and pill eating.
Yes. And when you eat a pill, you turn into Bert for a period of time.
Right.
It's on a timer. There's no timer running to show you how much time you have left.
No.
And when you are Bert, you can fly and shoot laser beams. Later on in the game, your laser beams get upgraded. You can shoot 2 laser beams at once. But that's it. That's the whole game. There's no equipment. There's no other upgrades. This is everything. It's Mark and Bert.
And one thing I will say for Mark that is a little different than some other platformers on the system is so he's got his baseball bat, right?
Yes.
Unlike in a lot of games where you get a baseball bat, you can hit back projectiles.
Yeah, any projectile.
Yeah, and that's really neat. I like that. It's not very useful in the game most of the time, and it's often difficult to pull off, but it's neat that it's there. That's the one thing I will definitely give it credit for.
So it's a pretty simplistic game.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you learn is that, like we said, Mark fucking sucks. His hitbox is 2 pixels.
Yeah. And if you're close enough to hit them, they're already about to hit you anyway.
Yeah, and he jumps 3 pixels.
Yeah.
And all of the bosses, because the game, again, in these levels, you're supposed to go through, find all the boss doors, fight all the bosses, then you get a key and you can exit the game.
Yeah.
Or the level. But if you're fighting them as Mark, many of the bosses you literally cannot dodge.
Right, yeah.
It's not possible to
damage.
dodge them as Mark. You just have to tank them. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. You have a pretty sizable health bar, but it goes down quick when you're getting hammered by a boss. And it's hard to tell, like, hey, can I jump over it? I actually can't think of any bosses that I could reliably jump over as Mark. None.
Yeah.
You can crouch as Mark, and if you crawl while you're crouching, he does this weird worm, inchworm thing across the screen.
Yeah, rather than crawling, he just inchworms. Doesn't
And
Bert do it too?
I don't know if Bert does because I never crawled with Bert because he could fucking fly. So the game quickly turns into finding and farming pills.
Yeah.
You find a boss door and you go, all right, now I need to go find the enemy in the level that drops a Bert pill. I need to get a Bert pill. I need to rush back to this door as fast as I can to see if I can have enough time left on my Bert timer to kill the boss, right? And as Bert, everything's almost kind of too easy. You just hammer through these bosses.
Now, that said, if I'm not mistaken, from I have not played this game as many times as you have, it seems to me like there's a finite number of drops in every stage too. Like you can't just farm forever. You can farm for a little bit and get some health and pills or whatever, and then they just stop dropping things.
If that is a thing, I haven't farmed it to that point.
Oh, okay.
Now, I have gone back and gotten pills from the enemies that I knew dropped pills.
Right.
But I don't know that I farmed it to where I've run out of pills.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had at one point I was just trying to max out my life bar, and they stopped dropping hearts, and I'd just keep going back to those same enemies that I knew dropped hearts, and they wouldn't drop anymore. So I didn't know if that was a bad luck or if they just run out after a while.
I don't know. As far as the stages, they're poorly designed. Almost every level is intentionally designed to be annoying to get through in a timely manner to stifle you farming Bert pills and just running to the bosses.
Right. Exactly.
To the point that I wish I could just play the damn game as Bert. Just design the levels better. Like every level, they're very intentionally designed to be these big roundabout routes and drop off cliffs and stuff so that it's a pain in the ass to get back to the boss door with the pill.
Right.
The first level, you fight a plant. There's the dead thing that's already dead. There's a pumpkin ghost. In the pumpkin ghost, I've never been able to beat his Mark. I don't think you can. If it's possible, I would love to know.
You can knock back his stuff at him, right?
Sure you can, but I can't fucking jump over him. He just slams his face into me.
Yeah, he does do that. You have to have a lot of health.
The second world, you fight a Medusa. You fight my favorite boss, which is a fried shrimp, tempura fried shrimp. That you kill him and he turns into an onion ring, and then he turns into one more fried thing. He's just a series of fried foods.
But what does he say at the beginning?
I don't know.
I think he just says shrimp attack.
It's something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And he's fun. Still hard if you're not Bert. There's a haunted well, which is bizarre.
And the thing is that for each of these stages, you have to beat all three bosses to get the key in order to progress. And that's the whole gameplay loop. Is you go find the three bosses, you beat them, and that'll give you the key so that you can get through.
But then the bosses, there's a little bit of interesting stuff with the bosses. A lot of it's just they're visually interesting, but then 90% of the bosses just run back and forth and shoot projectiles.
Right.
It feels like there should have been half as many bosses.
Yeah.
The Minotaur, the Sphinx Ghost, and the Spider all run together in my head from the cave level. The Samurai Ghost, Giant Cat, and Punk Rocker also just run together in my head. In fact, the Punk Rocker I remember being like stupid easy because it just stands there.
Yeah. I like the cat because he's in the trash can. Like
he is in the trash can. In the lake level, you have Mad Javelin Man.
Uh-huh.
But then you also have the Dancing Zombies, which is interesting. You come in and they say something like "Dance with us."
Yeah.
And you have to like swing your bat to their rhythm.
Oh, do you? I always just
to defeat them. Can you just stand there?
I thought so.
No, I was in there. First of all, I spent 20 minutes trying to kill him, and then I was like, oh, they said dance with me, but I just assumed that. I was like, it's an NES game. They didn't program it to do that. I just got to kill him. And then I was like, all right, do I need to dance? So it took me the longest time to figure out how to dance, and finally I was swinging my bat to their rhythm, and then they just disappeared.
Huh.
And I could do it. I didn't know I could just stand there.
I thought I was just standing there.
There's the Haunted Mansion, which has the chameleon boss.
Yeah.
And then you come to the tower, which is, God, what a garbage level. It's just literally stairs and boss doors. It sucks. Apparently, you can soft lock yourself in this stage.
Yep.
And so that's nice.
Yeah. If you beat all three bosses, you get soft locked because it gives you the key after the second boss. But instead of it checking if you have two or more bosses defeated, it checks if you have exactly two bosses defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Well-
that's not how it works, though.
That's not how it works. You fight Royce the Caterpillar, the Grim Reaper, and a spider, and then you go to Heaven's Gate.
I
which
do
is,
like the name Royce. That's clever. Because
You go to Heaven's- Heaven's Gate is a level where you get a lot of Burt pills. You get to be Burt for a lot of the level,
Right.
but they do this thing where it's a side-scrolling stage, and one of the bosses is to the left of where you start. So you will go all the way to the end, fight all the bosses, spend 10 minutes running around being like, what the fuck, man? I've gone all the way back to the beginning of the level. And then you go, oh, I got to go left. There's a boss hidden over there.
Yeah.
And then you fight the dragon, the hand thing, the pharaoh, and the final boss. The final boss is kind of stupidly easy compared to a lot of the earlier bosses.
Right.
It's just not. It's not great. It's not good. It's not well designed. It's the design to make the game challenging. The level design has to be intensely obtuse. Because if it's too easy to get Burt pills, then what's the point in having Mark? And you'll just get a Burt pill and fire through the game.
Really,
So, like,
what's the point of having Mark as the theme of the game?
I don't know. The whole Mark thing should have gone out the window. It would have been a totally fun game with Burt. You could have also had some enemies that kind of were able to also fly and use some more screen real estate.
Right.
I like this is one of those games that a really simple ROM hack could fix so much of it.
Right.
Like, just if someone just did a ROM hack where picking up a Burt pill made it so that your select button turned into an item and you could push it to take your Burt pill.
Right.
That would be great. Then I can navigate my way to the boss door, and then I can go in there, and you still have to defeat the boss as Burt. It's not incredibly easy. It's just there's so many. It's a cool game. It's got a cool theme. A lot of the bosses are really neat. There's some cool ideas here. It's just the way it was designed necessitates shitty, hateful level design.
It just feels kind of lazy.
It does. It feels like a really good idea, kind of lazily executed. And it makes me sad because aesthetically, what a cool game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's cute. It's funny. It's scary. It's got cool boss sprites. It's got such inventive ideas. I like the idea of, hey, instead of just running to the right, you have to find all these secret bosses. But when all that really means is I'm running through these intentionally hatefully designed mazes, like, give me some better tasks to find the boss doors. You know? I don't know. I was so disappointed. I
appreciated that you were playing it for the episode.
Yeah.
And you have all these fond memories of it. And when you had first mentioned that we were going to do it, you sounded somewhat excited. And then when you were playing the game, you didn't sound excited.
I think I played through the whole game, and then I texted you afterward, and I said something like, I think this game is shit.
Yeah.
Like I did. And I checked because I was, what a perfect candidate for like a Redux version, a ROM hack. It would be so easy to fix this game. I mean, even just like double the length of the Burt timer.
Right.
That's just one fucking variable changed that would dramatically improve how fun this game is.
Yeah.
Because the Burt timer is just short enough that no matter what, unless you know exactly where the boss door is, you're not getting to the boss door as Burt. It's just never going to happen naturally. You have to farm it and plan it. But if the Burt timer was like just twice as long, you could reasonably kind of find your way to a boss door and maybe get through a boss fight and add a little bit of tension. As it is, a Burt pill is just basically saying, hey, if you don't know where you're going with this is a waste. Here you go.
Right.
And it's so disappointing. And there are the only ROM hacks fix the soft lock. I found one that like changes some stuff from the Japanese prototype to make it more like that would have been, but nothing is like, oh, we made the game better. We've improved. I might make my own ROM hack. Can't be that hard to change the Burt timer. Just the Burt timer would fix everything.
Surely there's a Game Genie code for it.
Maybe. Now, I went through the Game Genie codes.
Yeah.
I didn't see one to permanently stay as Burt. Because I used them quite profusely because this game is
hateful.
It's so hard to play as Mark that it makes me mad. Like, Mark needs like a twice longer hitbox for his bat needs to be twice the length, and he needs to jump like 20% higher, and it would be great.
It would be a little bit more base health.
And a little bit more base health. Yeah, maybe if they started you max, because it's a really long health bar.
Oh, yeah.
But they start you at like a third of the way.
Right.
Anyway.
It's the Metroid maneuver.
I wish I loved. This is another one of those NES games that is like, so close to greatness. Like, legitimately.
It's so close to goodness.
It's so close to goodness. I think there's some great inventive ideas here. I think it's a game that's worth checking out historically, but for the love of God, play it with cheats, because fuck me, man. What?
Or just watch a video.
Even with cheats, there were levels like the dungeon.
Yeah.
Fuck that. What a mean... I was so mad. I was like, I'm cheating the whole way through this level, and I'm still so annoyed. But apparently there was a weird prototype found, and I didn't know anything about this. So I'm excited to hear about this prototype.
Oh, this is the exciting part for me, because I love hearing about any of these prototypes that are found or any unreleased games that are dumped. That's one of my favorite things. So this was something that I had followed back when it happened. So it was back in May of 2011 that the prototype popped up on Yahoo Auctions Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a prototype of the Japanese version of the game that never released. And it was advertised. It was advertised in magazines a year or two before it came out, but it was never released.
Mm-hmm.
And the prototype sold for 483,000 yen, which was about 6,000 American dollars at that point.
Yeah.
Less than that now. And several years later, the ROM image was eventually released online. There was a whole lot of back and forth. They didn't want to release it, and another copy of it popped up on eBay, and it sold for even more. And it was a whole mess until finally a copy was obtained that was dumped and released on the internet so that people could play it. And it does have some changes even from those previews in the magazines.
Mm-hmm.
The title screen calls it Parody World Monster Party, which makes more sense, honestly, because it's not just monsters. It's a parody of monsters.
Yeah.
And the title screen on the prototype does have blood instead of the slime like our title screen does, which I honestly don't understand why they bothered to change the title screen to slime when
halfway through it's covered in blood. Yeah, the password screen's also covered in blood.
Yeah.
I honestly think that it had to have been that at this point the Nintendo approval process just looked at title screens or or literally
they looked at a couple of screenshots.
I cannot think of how this game, as blood drenched as that first level is comically drenched in blood.
Golgo 13 had nudity in it and still got approved somehow.
True, but it was pretty far into the game.
Right. But it's clear that Nintendo was not like going through with a fine-tooth comb at all.
Right.
But yeah, so there are some problems just because it's a prototype. The hitboxes are even worse. Some of the animations aren't finished. But there are some significant differences. A lot of the bosses are different. That pitcher plant boss from the beginning of the game looks much more like Audrey 2.
Yeah.
It even has a little microphone in front of it, and it's got a speaker or an amp or something right behind it so that it looks like it's singing at you, which is cute.
Which makes sense because in the American version, it shot bubbles. I suspect it probably shot like music notes.
I think so, yeah.
Or was intended to.
Right. And the funny thing is that the amp that was behind the boss in the prototype, they didn't remove it. They just changed its sprite to all black.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still there in the final game. You can stand on it. It just is invisible.
Yeah.
The pumpkin ghost was originally an ape from Planet of the Apes.
All right.
Riding a horse. And the background when you're fighting him was the collapsed Statue of Liberty from Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
The Medusa boss originally was much more Medusa-y and not just a giant snake.
Big dumb snake. Yeah.
Yeah. The boss at the Sphinx was very clearly a mummy and not a translucent ghost mummy.
Right.
The spider boss had this really creepy Kodama style face, like those things in Princess Mononoke.
Mm-hmm.
Which looks really, really bizarre, especially compared to the final version, which just looks like a spider.
Yeah.
That weird cat boss that I love was a Mogwai.
No.
And it turned into a gremlin.
I feel ripped off now.
Right? That one was the best one. And I can't believe they had to change. Well, I mean, I absolutely believe why they had to change.
Right.
The giant mech boss had a different face, but the Grim Reaper was a xenomorph from Alien.
Now I'm going to go download the Japanese ROM hack.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, and a lot of these graphics, some of them, like partial graphics, were still in the final version of the game.
Yeah.
But a lot of them they only knew from those prototypes that looked really, or sorry, not the prototypes, from the magazine reviews that looked real janky. And so they didn't know exactly what it was going to be. And when the prototype was finally found and it had all this stuff, it was somewhat of a surprise to the community. A lot of the regular enemies were also changed. Like that dude in the umpire mask was wearing a Jason Voorhees style hockey mask.
Mm-hmm.
And the ghosts were originally Chinese hopping vampires, which I always love when those show up in games.
Mm-hmm.
And that weird cat
I'm looking at the
thing.
Mogwai and the Gremlin. It's so
Right?
cute.
It's adorable.
I'm pissed.
That weird cat vampire floating enemy was a Bela Lugosi style vampire enemy, which would have matched the cover of the game.
Yes.
But yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of little changes, and it was clear that a majority of the changes must have been done out of fear of copyright violation.
Yeah.
But it's still a shame because a lot of those original graphics are just absolutely adorable.
As far as reception and legacy, we've basically covered it. It was not a super popular game.
No.
It didn't get a lot of attention. The legacy is basically we found that prototype.
It's become a cult classic. It does have
It shouldn't be.
I know, but it has got a vocal community of fans that love it despite all of its flaws, or possibly because of its flaws.
Yeah.
Which is what cult classics are. And if you are one of those people, that's fine. You should continue to enjoy it. It's got a lot of charm. I can see the charm. That's all I
Trying
got.
so hard to be
trying.
generous. I'm gonna hack this ROM. I'm gonna learn how to, because I hate free time. So obviously I need to learn NES ROM hacking now. That'll be.
You got plenty of time, right? Nothing but free time over there.
It'll be great.
Yeah. I was trying to find any reviews, and like I found just like generic user submitted reviews, and they seem to range from 1 out of 10 to 8 out of 10.
Yeah, the game doesn't even have a reception section on Wikipedia, at all.
No.
So yeah,
I'm shocked that there's a Wikipedia article for it.
I kind of was too, honestly. Like, as far as final thoughts, again, it is an interesting game.
Yeah.
It is not really a fun game. And I think it definitely does, in that regard, fit the cult classic vibe of this is very interesting for interesting reasons, but it's definitely not good.
If you're like me, someone who heard about that first level and how it just changes and becomes creepy all of a sudden, and thought that this was going to be a fun, creepy game, and are disappointed now, go play a version instead. That is a great little platformer on Steam. It's probably $10 or less, and it actually does get creepy. So that's the one you should have been playing, and it clearly was inspired by this.
Yeah.
I've not found anything that definitively says that, but it was. It had to have been.
Anyway, if you like taking pills and turning into a space gargoyle, then we have Patreon.
I do like that.
At patreon.com/retrowarriors, where you can get fun things like me talking about Battletech for 10 whole minutes before the show and Jaguar spots, because that's what we did this week.
Hey, Justin.
What?
What pills would you recommend to our patrons to turn into a space gargoyle?
Oh, only the ones given to you by a licensed space gargoyle.
Yeah.
Don't take them from any old person. I learned this lesson the hard way. And I even asked him, I said, will this turn me into a space gargoyle? And he said, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. So yeah, only from a licensed card-carrying space gargoyle should you take
Really,
pills.
you should get them from your pharmacist, but have them prescribed by the space gargoyle.
You're going to have a hard time because in the game, the pill is the size of Mark's legs. So I don't know how you're going to tackle that.
Fork and knife.
But good luck. Hopefully it's not a suppository. We want to thank the following patrons, starting with John Fry,
And Edward Majewski Jr.,
Brian Guido Hassin,
Robert Vieira Jr.,
Free Code Camp Quincy Larson,
Elson Raves,
Fry Skungen,
Pablo, play every copyright-owned music for 10 full seconds.
The anti-mayonnaise world order.
Oh, finally. And our producer, Guy, who is here.
They got your letters, Saturn. The anti-mayonnaise world order.
Finally, I've been donating for so many years.
Speaking of our producer, Guy, please stay tuned after the ending theme for Guy. He's going to be here, and he's going to talk to us about honey badgers. Is
call
what
it
I've
the after party, Justin.
what I've decided, and so hopefully he has good honey badger facts for us whenever we transition into that segment. Anyway, thank you so much for listening.
Way
We'll
to
be
set
back.
up the segment for winning.
We'll be back next week, and as always, let us cling together. Hi, welcome to the after party with our producer, Guy.
Hopefully.
Hi, Guy. Is he looking up honey badger facts? That must be what he's doing.
that's
Oh,
it.
yeah. All right. This.
I just wondered
How-
how long you would, go on and ramble.
I'll
eternally.
Yeah, if no one talks, I'll just go until I physically collapse. Is
Yeah.
what
I
I've
work-
learned. I'll just.
I work
I'll
with a
just-
person who also
You do?
will just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
Yeah.
Which is I'm not complaining. I'm acknowledging a fact.
Uh-huh.
That person also has a movie podcast. They are a movie podcast host.
Nice.
I was like, I see. I know somebody like you.
I will say that being a podcast host is virtually the only avenue in my life where it has ever been useful that I can just talk for an indeterminate amount of time about virtually anything. Because in other walks of life, it is less useful.
It's eventually people are going to get tired.
Yeah,
I mean, it
eventually
also works
they're
if
like,
you're-
please stop talking.
If you're trying to spin up a social group, it helps.
That's true.
It's true. Yeah.
It's my I've been doing that, the group thing, the tabletop club, and my wife keeps like complimenting me. She's like, "You're so good at community building. You're so good at this," and I'm like, "No, I just won't shut up." Is the secret? Is I just won't fucking stop talking about it, which is helpful, because then people notice that you won't shut the fuck up, and they're like, "I guess I'll go to this guy's thing, so he'll shut the fuck up."
That's good. It works out.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, we can talk about it more in a minute. Like, I got notes. The only notes I have 2 notes.
Have you played Monster Party? Is it about Monster Party?
No, I have not. And
no.
after this
Don't.
episode, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, probably should not.
Yes, for the best.
Less awesome.
Correct answer. Yeah.
Less
This
awesome.
one just says you reached the uncanny valley of nice.
What does that mean? What?
I think that's when you were introducing me.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
That's my
what it
guess.
was.
It sounds like nice, and it looks like nice, but something's wrong.
That is an accurate description, yes.
It's good, right? And then my other one says, I have a friend that didn't get credit for working on one of the MGS games. I don't want to say the friend or the game, but
Well,
yeah,
you should say because you got to credit him.
well, I guess. But he got laid off by Kojima Productions right before it got certified gold or some shit. So they went through and took him out of the credits.
That's some bullshit.
Fuck them. Stupid.
I don't understand why that's a thing. Why they will just remove someone from the work that they have already done.
It's a cultural thing, I guess.
I know, but I don't like it. I don't.
It's
like
an
it.
asshole thing, is what it is.
Is it? Yeah, no, it is.
I mean, a lot of cultural things are asshole things, coincidentally, so that, it kind of goes hand in hand, I think,
Sometimes.
Yes. No. Yeah. No. I started this Magic Draft like 10 minutes ago, and I was like, surely the episode's not quite wrapping up yet, but no, it's starting wrapping up.
Is that what's going on? Are you drafting Magic as we speak?
Maybe. Look, I don't have
Because
to. answer you.
I thought my internet was like lagging because I would say something and then it'd be a beat and then you'd be like, yeah. And I was like, I guess my internet's being.
No,
You're just
that's
drafting
also-
Magic.
That's also potentially my internet. Let's be fair here.
How's your draft going, Guy?
I mean, it's all right. I'm drafting this new like Lord of the Rings deck.
Yeah, you liking that new Lord of the Rings set?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Guy got to play my Magic the Gathering cube at our board game night.
Yeah.
Love
That
that.
was
fucking
exciting.
game.
Did you follow it up with a hypercube?
Oh, I wish.
Oh,
I want to make a second cube called Cube 2 Hypercube. I don't know what I'd put in it, but it'd have to be wacky.
Yeah, dude, like, and we didn't know like anything, right? As far as we couldn't remember how many cards we were supposed to like dole out.
Yeah. Well, I was like, it's 90, right? And then I was laying them out, and you were like, I don't know, 90 seems like a lot. And I was like, it does. Let's do 50. And then later you're like, no, it is 90. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, we did 50.
Like, so I got to build a deck. Like, that's the first time. Well, okay, I've built a deck twice, like live. I went to a pre-release event, like when I was like 23 or something.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which thing it was. It was whatever was right after Ravnica. Maybe it was like Time Spiral or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, original Ravnica would have been wasn't it Ravnica straight into Guilds of Ravnica?
Guilds of Ravnica. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I drafted this deck, but I didn't know anything about like what curve I was supposed to have, or how many lands I needed, anything, right? So that did not go well. I went 0-6, I guess. I mean 0-3 in the matches, but I don't think I won a single game.
I've learned that one of my great joys in life is taking a collectible card game, collecting a curated selection of it, and putting it in one box and cubing it. Saturn, for because I'm sure you don't know what a cube is.
I absolutely do not.
A cube is... So these trading card games, the idea is that you build your decks, right? Mm-hmm. And so some of them you draft cards. So it's like, hey, we're going to open some packs and build a deck out of them and play that. And it's not going to be as good as the deck that we went and built by looking up all the cards online and special ordering them. But it's, the idea is that it'll still be fun. And so a cube basically takes a trading card game and puts a curated selection of them together in one box, and you only play the cards in that box. So you can draft them or just build decks or do whatever. But the idea is that the curated selection you put in there is relatively balanced. So it kind of turns a trading card game into like a board game-like experience where you just sit down, open the box. I like to print out a little instruction sheet. I have a little instruction sheet in mind to kind of tell you what to do and how to play. And then you can like introduce people like, hey, do you want to play Magic the Gathering? And it's like a board game experience instead of, okay, well, go do all this research and buy all these packs and do all this random shit and, the traditional trading card game experience.
So
that's what I did. I figured out like, what is my most populous color? Because we had like half the cards we were supposed to have, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, let me just build a functional deck and assume that there's some synergies in this, and was able to build.
And there are,
something.
because that's that cube. The cube list, the cards in the cube were not mine. This is a community cube that was put together over many years, so that the cards do actually work well together.
Nice.
So it's not. I can't take credit for it. Do I say?
I accidentally unplugged my headset a second ago and didn't hear part of your explanation. And when I came back, you were still talking, so I assumed it was not that important. But did you actually explain why it is called a cube?
No, I don't know why it's called a cube. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Well, that was the whole part that I was waiting for the explanation on, and then I lost my audio for a second, and I was like, "Fuck!" You probably said it during that moment.
So I have cubes.
No, I just never said it.
I have cubes from multiple different card games. I've got a Netrunner cube. I'm building one for the BattleTech CCG. I like trading card games a lot, but I can't keep up with them, and I don't like having to buy stuff all the time, or like me and my friend will be playing and doing good, and then all of a sudden they go drop $300 on these crazy cards, and then I'm just like, well, I guess I can't play with you unless I want to spend more money. And I like the board game experience of like, let's just bust this out and play and have a good time with a card game. And then and so you don't that's why I do my cube. Mine is, so the cube I do is a pauper cube, which means all the cards in it are commons. So there's no rares or super rares or whatever. Everything is a common card, so it's all cheaply available.
I thought it was a pauper cube because it came with jalapeno poppers.
Yeah, that would be why I put jalapeno poppers in there. I put them on my shelf, and then every 6 months we take them out and just give ourselves botulism.
That's the spicy cube.
It's a good time. But I like a lot of people. They'll build set cubes, so they'll be like, "Oh, I really love this set, this like oh, they came out with a new Lord of the Rings Magic set, and I love that set, so I'm going to get all the cards from it and put them on one big box and just play that over and over and over and over again.
All right.
You know, so that's the idea. But yeah, that's I used to know why it was called a cube. I don't fucking remember now. And the box I put them in is a rectangle, so that doesn't even make sense.
It's not a cube.
Well, the internet say that it originated from the container they were put in was cube shaped.
They were going into cubes. All right, well that makes some amount of
now
sense.
you're just ruining it
I'm
by
sorry.
not putting
fucking
them in
logic.
cubes. No, I'm saying Justin's ruining it by not putting them.
Oh, because it's not a cube. I don't even have a. What cube-shaped container holds cards?
I don't know, but you got to call it a rectangular prism from now
Yeah.
on.
Right.
Hey, do you guys want to play some rectangular prism magic? It's a good time.
You got to say like rectangular prism Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you have to
So
say
they
it in
know.
the extra nerdy voice too.
Hello, would you like to play some rectangular prism Magic the Gathering?
Nerds.
I love that cube. I love cubes. I love making cubes out of old card games. It's fun. I picked up the weirdest shit the other day. It was, I got it for $3.99 at Half Price Books. It was a 2005 trading card game released by Hasbro called Hecatomb. Hecatomb. And it's a trading card game. It's like a horror-themed trading card game. So all the art is really like gross and brutal. But the cards are like clear plastic, like overhead sheets in the shape of pentagrams. Or pentagons, pardon me, not a pentagram.
I feel
Pentagons.
like I've seen this.
Other than that, it's just a totally normal card game, except that everything sticks together because it's all plastic. You can't shuffle it worth shit, and everything gets turned all sideways because it's all shaped like fucking pentagons.
I swear I've seen this before.
And I bought it because it was so stupid, and it was $3, and I was like, well, I gotta fucking buy. I can't not buy this. And it just went in my pile of old card games that I have a single deck for and don't know what to do with, along with my Star Trek trading card game deck and my Marvel Overpower trading card deck.
Did I give you the Star Trek and Marvel ones?
I think you did, and I'm upset because I don't have another one to play against them.
Well, I thought I had 2 of the Marvel ones. Didn't I give you 2 decks of
No,
that?
you gave me one, and I can't do anything with it. I will.
No idea where the other one went.
You know what? They have the Star Trek trading card game is still going. Fans picked it up after it was shut down, and they are still making new expansions for it
That's nuts.
through to today. And it kind of makes me want to put together a Star Trek cube and take it over to your house and be like, Saturn, play Star Trek cube with me.
My when I got that deck because my sister's first husband bought it. He had bought 2 decks, one for him and one for me, thinking that we would sit down and play this game.
Yeah.
This is before I'd ever heard of Magic the Gathering or
Right.
any other CCG. And so this would have been like 94 or 95, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Whenever it came out, I imagine. And we sat down, and the 2 of us each tried to read the rules for like 20 minutes before we both gave up and walked away from it, and I never touched it again.
It's amazing. Like, I got into like the era of modern tabletop games in 2012. And I remember I was like, I bought the Netrunner core set for the reboot of the Netrunner card game. And I spent hours reading this fucking rulebook and could not, and I don't mean like couldn't figure out these little fiddly things. I mean, couldn't figure out how the game just basically functions.
Right.
And now, I went back to it a couple years ago. I now have a Netrunner cube, and I was like, people say Netrunner is like the best card game of all time. Maybe I missed something. And with the years of being involved in tabletop games, going back to it, I was like, this game is very easy to learn. Like and I've taught it to several people now, and it's pretty easy to learn. And on the back of the rule book, because I have the same rule book, there's a big fucking flow chart that tells you how to do everything. And so it's interesting how like not being exposed to certain types and levels of tabletop design, like you'll just look at it and be like, I physically can't process this. Like I don't have the mental tools to process whatever this is fucking putting out for me. You know,
Going back to the year of gaming, dum dum. conversation?
I might be. I think I might be. You know, I spent today learning the Alpha Strike rule set for BattleTech, and that took me a long time. But I got there, and then after I learned it, I was like, oh, it's just that it's so simple that in my head I think it must be more complicated than that. And it is definitely not. It's a very simple game to play.
Nice.
And so, you know, anyway. Well, Guy, I hope your draft goes well. Thanks for being our producer.
You're welcome. The draft's been over for a while. It was just,
Okay.
It was
Well,
like,
I've been like filling time.
oh no, not at all, dude. I thought you were just talking about stuff.
No, it's your segment. I was here for your honey badger facts.
The after party started like halfway through pack 2. So.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Well, don't you need to build your deck and play it now? Isn't that how a draft goes? You get the cards, then you got to.
Well, yeah, but the only like timed live part was the drafting part. So
What?
like,
You have all the time in the world to build your deck?
yeah, you can build a deck. Yeah, it's like it's an event. So as long as
I
the
know
event
what a
doesn't
drafting
expire-
event is. I've played in many of them, but
Sorry.
like you don't. There's no time limit on building the. Well, that's fucking weird.
No, you're just in a queue to play. So like you draft in a pot of 8, but then you're in a queue with everybody of your skill level for the playing of it.
Weird. That's very weird. I mean, every draft I've ever done, it's you show up and you open the packs, and they're like, all right, you have 30 minutes to build a deck, and then we play our Swiss rounds.
No, I guess it's an
It's
asynchronous queuing, right?
an arena thing, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah.
No, I assumed you finished your draft and you're sitting there trying to build a deck, and I was talking to you about cubes.
Oh no! I've been sitting here staring at my screen and not touching it for like 10 minutes.
Well, Guy, take us out with a honey badger fact.
Honey badgers are vicious
And resistant to most poisons. Thank you for listening to the
and they
After
don't
Party.
give a shit.
And we'll see you
don't give a
next
shit.
next week. Good night.
Bye.